Hey guys, this is Nobility, and I'm excited to tell you that the Canadian pricing for the 2021 Genesis G80 has been released. Before I get into details on the pricing, I just want to thank all of you that have checked out my previous video on the top 5 differences between the 2021 Genesis G80 and the old G80. So thank you if you found my video helpful in terms of making a purchase decision, or if you simply found my video entertaining. Hey, thanks a lot, I really appreciate it. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel and you hit the bell so that you can be notified whenever I have a new video pop up. Without further ado, the price of the 2021 Genesis G80 starts at, I need a drum roll, 66,000 Canadian dollars. Now wait a second, the starting price of the old Genesis G80 was $58,000? Well, actually, the 2017 and 2018 Genesis G80 started at 54,000 Canadian dollars. 54,000 Canadian dollars. However, nobody really bought the base 3.8 luxury trim level, so it got discontinued after 2018. The 2019 to 2020 G80 base trim level was the 3.8 technology, and it started at 58,000 Canadian dollars. The fully loaded first generation Hyundai Genesis 5.0 R Spec cost just over 55,000 Canadian dollars, including destination. So there is a precedence for the base trim level of the newer generation being priced similarly to the loaded trim level of the previous generation. I think a lot of people were happy with the changes that the second generation Hyundai Genesis brought to the table, namely the luxurious features and all-wheel drive, because rear-wheel drive doesn't make for the best daily drivers here in Canada. The outgoing G80 was based on the Hyundai Genesis, meaning it was originally designed as a Hyundai. Genesis was originally a luxury sub-brand of Hyundai, meaning that it was originally designed with Hyundai limitations in terms of technology, luxury, and budget. Nobody in the right mind would buy a Hyundai or any high-end vehicle from any mainstream brand that costs considerably more than its namesake's traditional price brackets, no matter how good it happened to be. Here's a couple examples for you. Hyundai Equus. Yep, that's a pretty nice car, which also happens to be the precursor to the Genesis G90. Nobody bought it. Or here's a European example for you. Volkswagen Phaeton. It was literally a glorious Bentley Continental flying spur with a VW badge on it that could be had at a discount compared to the Bentley version, and none of you bought one. Wow. Therefore, the Hyundai Genesis was meant to be nicer than other contemporary Hyundais, but at a reasonable level, so let's call this Hyundai Plus, that the traditional Hyundai buyer would consider purchasing, because let's face it, nobody bought the Equus or the Phaeton. However, Genesis is no longer part of Hyundai and now is a master of its own destiny. So, I've accepted the fact that the price of the new 2021 Genesis G80 has gone up. What do you get for 66,000 Canadian dollars versus the 54,000 Canadian dollar 2017 G80 luxury? I'm not even going to get into details regarding the aesthetics of the new G80 versus the old G80. Looks are subjective, but I believe the new G80 looks absolutely unique and stunning, and that the old G80 looks more dated and generic. The new G80 has an identity that makes it stand out in a sea of generic luxury sedans in a way that any Genesis sedan never truly had before. While it is a given that a newer model will have many upgraded features over the older model, I made a chart that outlines the major changes between the new G80 and old G80. To make a fair comparison, I am comparing the entry-level trims of each generation in the first years each trim has been released in, so 2021 for the new G80 and 2017 for the old G80. The green check marks indicate which feature is better between models, and yellow means the features are similar enough between models. Here are the specs. The new G80 has a 2.5-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine with 300 horsepower and 311 foot-pounds of torque. The outgoing 3.8-liter V6 has more top-end horsepower than the 2.5T, as it has 311 horsepower at 6,000 RPM for the 3.8 versus the 300 horsepower at 5,800 RPM for the 2.5T. However, it only has 293 foot-pounds at a very high 5,000 RPM versus 311 foot-pounds of torque between the very broad 1,650 RPM to 4,000 RPM in the 2.5T. That's just above idle. You have to rev higher to get the heavier, older G80 moving, and nobody's going to be driving around at 5,000 RPM on a regular basis. You're not a race car driver. Daily driving consists of low to mid RPMs, and the 2.5T will feel much more lively and should deliver quicker acceleration due to the lighter weight of the new G80 and the low-end torque provided by the turbocharger. Both G80s have rear-biased all-wheel drive. However, the one advantage of the new G80 is that it doesn't say H-Track on it. Since Genesis is a separate brand from Hyundai, it shouldn't have a badge that says Hyundai Traction. The new G80's 19-inch wheels feel in its body nicer than the old G80 and its 18-inch wheels, and they also look more unique in my opinion. 18-inch tires are cheaper to replace, however. Both G80s have panoramic sunroofs. The 14.5-inch system in the new G80 is in HD and has a nice ultra-wide aspect ratio. It also has a new Genesis UI, which offers the proper fonts and colors. The 8-inch system is very low res, has the old Hyundai UI, and simply is dated in every way possible. The 4.2-inch system is simply low res, lacks information, and is incredibly dated. You have to squint in order to read information on this screen. I have had the pleasure of listening to the 21-speaker lexicon system in the Genesis G80. It sounds incredibly clear for a car audio system and sounds very lively with good instrument separation and without distortion. In contrast, the old 14-speaker 900-watt lexicon system in the 2017 G80 sounds muddy, has poor instrument separation, and sounds lifeless in comparison. This feature is very cool. It will monitor intersections and will recognize and brake the car accordingly when oncoming vehicles from the opposite lane or perpendicular lane are entering the intersection and aren't stopping for you when you're doing left turns or are entering the intersection yourself. The old G80 simply has autonomous emergency braking if the car detects an imminent collision. It also doesn't have pedestrian or cyclist detection. This feature is very handy if you're like me and hate it when your smart cruise control leaves giant gaps between your car and the car in front of you, letting a bunch of cars cut in front of you and causing your smart cruise control to slow down even more. It uses artificial intelligence to learn your driving habits, whether smart cruise control is enabled or not, helping to emulate your driving style. The old G80 just has regular smart cruise control that doesn't adapt to your driving style. Lane following assist helps maintain center of travel within the lane by recognizing both lane markers and vehicles traveling ahead. The old G80 has lane keep assist only, which uses a camera to read the lane markers only. The new G80 has highway driving assist too, but what is HDA 1? HDA makes driving on the highway easier by controlling the vehicle's steering, accelerating or decelerating to the driver's set speed, keeps a safe distance from the car ahead, and centers the vehicle in its lane. It uses navigation data to determine if the vehicle is on a highway and uses information from its front camera and radar to control the driving of the vehicle. In my experience with the 2020 G90, which has HDA1, there's only a handful of highways that are registered with the system, so I can imagine this feature being more useful in more densely populated areas, such as the Greater Toronto area. HDA2 expands on HDA1 by adding lane changing, having a faster response rate than HDA1, and can detect when other cars are entering or cutting in your lane, keeping the vehicle at a safe distance away from other vehicles. Beep, beep, beep. Yes, they both have it. The new G80 has full LED quad headlights, but the old G80 has bi-xenons. That is so 2017. Now here is an advantage for the older G80 3.8 Luxury. In Canada, the 3.8 Luxury came with the same Nappa leather that even the top trim had, whereas the new G80 2.5T Advanced will only have genuine leather. Genuine leather is tough and durable, but it's not quite as nice feeling as Nappa leather. A lot of people probably wouldn't notice, but it's worth noting. Both G80s have heated steering wheels, heated front and rear seats, and ventilated front seats standard. The new G80 has an around view monitor, which is basically a 360-degree camera system, and it also has a blind spot view monitor, which gives you a low-resolution video feed of a vehicle that's in your blind spot. An old G80 only has a backup camera system. The old G80 doesn't have a head-up display, it doesn't have wireless charging, it doesn't have a power trunk, although it does have a smart trunk that will pop open whenever you stand behind it for 3 seconds, and it doesn't have Genesis connected services. It is amazing how much technology changes in 4 years, or 6 years if you count the 2015 Hyundai Genesis. People that lease or like to change cars often should be very excited for the new G80, even though there is a $12,000 premium of the 2021 G80 2.5T Advanced compared to the 2017 G80 3.8 Luxury. You simply get a much more luxurious car that has far more advanced technology. If you account for inflation from 2017, the price difference is just under $8,000, and the amount of upgrades you get for that amount is staggering. You get a more modern engine and a lighter platform, which should contribute to more brisk-feeling acceleration, better handling, and better fuel economy. You get far more safety technology and luxurious features for a more premium vehicle, period. The Mercedes-Benz E-Class starts at $65,175 Canadian dollars. To get it equipped similarly to the G80 2.5T Advanced, $86,315 Canadian dollars. The BMW 5 Series starts at $65,185 Canadian dollars. To get it equipped similarly to the G80 2.5T Advanced, $77,935 Canadian dollars. The Audi A6 starts at $64,695 Canadian dollars. To get it equipped similarly to the G80 2.5T Advanced, $80,245 Canadian dollars. Even though the base price number of the competitors is lower than the price of the G80 2.5T Advanced, you have to remember that you don't get too many features in the zipper model. Additionally, most dealerships won't even carry the base model on the lot. These prices are meant to be used for advertising purposes and to get people to purchase more loaded versions. The G80 2.5T Advanced comes quite loaded at $66,000, being $12,000 to $20,000 less expensive than its German competition for a similar feature set. Now, on to the 3.5T Prestige. It costs $76,000 Canadian dollars. Now, you might be wondering why it costs so much money when the G80 3.3 Sport costs $62,000 Canadian dollars and the G80 5.0 Ultimate with a 420 horsepower V8 costs $65,000. What do you get for $76,000? You get a 3.5-liter twin-turbocharged V6 engine with 375 horsepower and 390 foot-pounds of torque. In comparison, you only get 365 horsepower and 376 foot-pounds of torque in the outgoing G80 3.3 Sport. The 3.5T is down in power compared to the 420 horsepower 5-liter V8 in the previous G80, but it has a much broader power band with 390 foot-pounds of torque between 1300 RPM and 4500 RPM compared to the 383 foot-pounds of torque at the sky-high 5000 RPM the 5-liter V8 offers. Considering the G80 3.3 Sport is a hair faster than the G80 5-liter Ultimate in 0 to 60, the 3.5T should easily offer better performance than both the G80 3.3T and 5-liter V8 due to a better power band and lighter overall weight. Not to mention, the dual port and direct injection in the 3.5T V6 makes for better longevity overall. The 20-inch wheels of the new G80 fill in the body a lot better and look better than the wheels of the old G80. The 12.3-inch 3D digital instrument cluster is a world first. It uses infrared eye trackers to monitor your eyes and gives the illusion of depth on the screen. It is very clear and responsive in person and is much more informative than the small 7-inch screen on the old G80. Speaking of those infrared eye trackers, they will monitor your eyes and alert you if you aren't paying attention. If you're backing up and a pedestrian or obstacle is in the way, the G80 will warn you and hit the brakes if necessary. Smart Park not only helps you parallel park, but it will also help you stall park your G80. This makes it very handy when you are trying to park the car in tight spots such as your garage or Walmart, or if you want to show a cool party trick to your friends. The Ergo driver's seat uses air pockets to gently knead your back and butt, promoting blood flow and making long road trips very comfortable. The G80 3.5T Prestige adds quilted Nappa leather, a leather-wrapped upper center console, a micro-suede headliner, soft closing doors, and a bunch of other tech that never came on the 2017 G80 5.0 Ultimate. The new G80 even uses the front camera to analyze the road for speed bumps and potholes and dampens the suspension accordingly. The old G80 sure didn't do that. At an $11,000 premium, you simply get far more car with the 2021 versus the 2017 and even the 2020 G80 5.0. Even though the old G80 has some nice touches, you simply get far more technology that makes even the G90 blush and that you would expect to find with the German luxury brands. Technology advances at a very rapid rate, so the old G80s definitely feel dated at this point, especially considering they are based on a platform that goes back as early as model year 2015. When you take inflation into account, the price difference between the 2021 and 2017 is less than $6,000, which makes the 3.5T Prestige an even better value. Wow! So to answer the question of is the 2021 Genesis G80 worth the price, you can look at it in two ways. If it's worth the price compared to the previous G80, and if it's worth the price compared to the Germans. In both instances, I believe the 2021 Genesis G80 is indeed worth the price. Compared to the previous G80 and Hyundai Genesis, the new G80 simply has more of everything. More standard features, much higher tech features, a much better aesthetic, a more advanced powertrain, a much more luxurious interior, more advanced safety features, and more. Compared to the Germans, the new G80 offers many more features per dollar and has finally carved out an identity that can separate itself from the Germans. The new G80 should drive very nicely now that the chassis and drivetrain has been improved, offering a luxurious, comfortable, yet athletic drive, which should hopefully bring the drive closer to the Germans than what the previous G80 was capable of doing. But that said, the Germans will be the Germans, and the driving experience is generally quite pleasing with them, although I do believe that at minimum the new G80 will offer a better chassis dynamic compared to the Audi A6, considering the nose-heavy nature of the MLB Evo platform the A6 is on. If you're a German car fan, it would be a complete disservice to dismiss Genesis simply because it's a new, non-European brand. I truly believe that most people that are complaining about the price of the new G80 are existing Hyundai customers that love getting a luxurious Hyundai at a discount compared to its competitors. There's nothing wrong with that at all. However, Genesis has moved on, and it isn't targeting Hyundai Plus customers, but is aiming squarely at the Germans, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Audi. After all, what would be the point in Genesis separating from Hyundai if it was going to keep on making vehicles for Hyundai Plus customers? So what's next for the G80? Will there be an upcoming G80 Sport to replace the sporty and aggressive outgoing G80 3.3 Sport? Will there be an eG80 EV to push the performance envelope higher and to bring the Genesis brand to the future? I'm excited to find out. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified for my next videos. Until then, stay safe and be noble.